Welcome to 1991 Movie Rewind, the podcast where we watch and review every movie released in 1991. From the all-time greatest classics to the critically panned and everything in between. We'll rediscover forgotten fan favorites and uncover hidden gems as we explore the depths of the direct-to-video. Join us in our celebration of the fun, unique, and diverse films of this highly underrated year. This week, we watched All I Want for Christmas. On 1991 Movie Rewind. All I Want for Christmas tells the story of siblings Ethan and Hallie, whose parents have been divorced for about a year. Their dad is obsessively working at his new diner, and their mom is trying to move on with a new boyfriend. In order to bring their family back together, Hallie goes to the mall to ask Santa to reunite their parents. Screenplay by Thom, Eberhardt, and Richard Kramer, directed by Robert Lieberman, and released on November 8th, 1991. Have you seen All I Want for Christmas before?
Yeah, I've seen this movie a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I thought I told you.
I don't remember.
Oh.
Wow, okay. Once was enough for me.
I mean, okay, imagine watching this at 11, 12.
I don't know. I mean, it's a Christmas movie, and I've never been into like seasonal movies and watching.
I'm not
things
really,
every year.
But I resonated with this movie.
Okay, I'll let you expand on that if you want to.
So I know our thoughts are gonna be different probably.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, there's obviously a level of relatability that some people will have that others will not. But I don't think that's exclusive to just divorced parents versus not divorced parents. Because these kids, I don't know. These kids are in a very rich family.
Right. In
a very big city of New York. And they're allowed to do basically whatever they want to do at any given time. It's like, I don't know, I kind of recognize that from, the 80s and 90s of just being able to go off to the mall on my own.
Yeah, no, like that, I kind of, identified with that, too. I mean, it's just like that latchkey child. It's just like, because even, the grandma or...
There's a lot of characters in here who you don't know who the hell they are.
Oh, I know who was who.
Okay. Who was Andrea Martin's character?
She was she seemed to be their nanny / cook, but then they also had that other woman who was also
that's what
the
I'm saying.
Caretaker. I think the other
they had
woman,
a maid, and then they also had Andrea Martin who maybe was a live-in tutor or something.
Well, because she was trying to teach at least Ethan Spanish.
And trying to teach someone else piano, but my point is they never explain.
I mean, they're a rich, affluent family. I assumed the older woman was the maid / a personal assistant to that grandma, sorta.
Yeah.
And then Olivia was kind of the cook / nanny / everything else. They needed two people to...
Right. For these
two
3
kids.
people who are in the house, or I guess 4 people that are in the house. Yeah, I'm just saying that...
I mean, I do not identify with that.
Right, yeah.
I just identified with, being a child of divorce.
Sure.
But
and being sort of left alone to your own
devices.
devices.
And then I had identified with this movie when I was young.
Okay. I mean, I understand that.
Minus being from a super rich family.
Yeah.
But and then also
you lived in a bigger city at the time.
Yeah, I live in a big city. I live in a big city. I grew up in a big city, and around. I mean, I also kind of came and went. I was surprised. I mean, I didn't go all the way downtown and went to go see Santa alone at the age of 8. I was able to just go to my friend's house and stay or like be out in the neighborhood all day long and then just come home when it was dark.
Yeah, that was basically, I mean, I had that too around the neighborhood, and we lived, you know, pretty close to a mall, so I would go to the mall like all the time. I could just walk there by myself.
And then it seems like
it's easy.
That's what they did with their parents, but I mean...
Yeah, except that, I wouldn't have done it alone as like a, you know, first grader like Hallie did.
Yeah, I mean, as a first grader, I would be like too afraid to.
There's things that the movie does well, and there's things that they don't do very well. I think sort of embodying that time for childhood, I think they did pretty well. And I also liked how the relationship between the brother and sister was handled, in that, you know, Hallie was, I don't know how much younger. I don't know if they ever said how old Ethan was in this.
Was she first grade?
Yeah, they said that she was like 7 years old, and I think they said first grade class at some point.
I thought she was like 7 or 8. He seemed like
Which would be first grade, so that would work, yeah.
Yeah, so...
And I think he was like probably like between
13.
5th and 7th grade, something. They had a cotillion, which was a very common thing. You know,
amongst
these rich people. So I mean, like, I don't know like what age a cotillion might happen.
I thought that was high school, so that's why I was like, oh, is he a freshman? Like, is he 14 maybe? I don't
think so, just based off of the other kids who were around him, because like it didn't seem like anybody had really hit puberty
so
yet.
Like seventh grade.
Yeah, like max. I obviously have not seen it, so I came into it with a completely unusual perspective. There's a lot that, I don't know, there's a lot that just doesn't quite work for me, and I think right at the start when we're introduced to like Hallie, who I guess we should probably say who these people are, played by Thora Birch.
Yeah, and I think she's actually really well. I think both her and Ethan were like really good.
Yeah, I think honestly, pretty much all of the child actors were fantastic in this. Right. But yeah, Thora Birch, I think her character, the way it was written, turned me off at the start, but then I just kind of grew accustomed to it, and like, oh my god, she's doing an amazing job with what she's been given, because she's basically written like an adult in a child's body.
Yeah, and then
she's much older and wiser, and you know, like she's talking like a 1930s, you know.
That could be because her grandmother is
Lauren Bacall.
Is Lauren? Yeah,
that could be.
I mean,
an homage. I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. And I mean, we don't know the reason why the mother father really divorced, besides like them fighting a lot. But
yeah, that's a problem for me, I guess.
And
just
then
wanting more out of a movie, but
yeah, that was never really established, and then it just like they've been divorced for a whole year. It seems like, or what they said.
Yeah, I'm assuming probably like a little bit less than a year, because I mean, if it's been over a year, then this would be their second Christmas with separate lives, and it seemed like this was going to be their first Christmas with, you know, split time with the kids.
Oh.
But I don't know. They say about a year.
Okay.
But yeah, that was another thing.
Let's say like divorced last Christmas or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. They said they divorced, and there's like something to do with like because the dad opened up the diner. He's he owns and runs this diner, and it like consumed all of his time or something. That was a problem for the mom. They established like kind of early on that the dad is basically an a-hole. I'll keep it G-rated since the movie is G.
I don't know.
And that he's always late. He only thinks of himself in the diner, and like he's super selfish and self-centered, and that's how he is presented, and that's how he is acting in the beginning. And then like after that scene, he becomes just like a normal, down-to-earth, rational guy.
Yeah.
And then the mom becomes like somewhat opposite.
She's the asshole in that. I don't know.
Yeah. And so like I feel like we deserve to know more about the story and the history of why they broke up.
Yeah.
Like I want to be able to root for them both. And it's tough for me to do that when I don't know, are they both at fault, or is like one person the a-hole and is now redeeming themselves? I want to get them back together like the kids do, but I want, I'm coming at it from an adult's rational point of view. Like, I want to know the reasoning. I want to know, like, does this actually make sense for the couple? And without the history of what happened, I don't have that. And it's tougher for me to root for them to get back together.
Yeah, rewatching this, but it seems as if the husband, Michael, he didn't want to be part of that hoity-toity lifestyle that Catherine grew up in. Because, Lauren Bacall, who is her mother, her name is Lillian, the grandmother, she's like a very well-to-known theater actress, I'm assuming.
She's
really
some
well
sort of a star,
known.
most likely Broadway.
And they live in this, like, amazing, the typical New York walk-up, like the Greystone.
That's what it looks like, but inside it's like a mansion. It's like,
I know, the interior, like the
quadruple the space of what you would expect.
Yeah, like, all the walls are, like, painted mural-like with, like, it looked like it was, I don't know, you're in The Sound of Music or something. It's like rolling hills or whatever on the walls. That's how Catherine has lived her whole life, I'm assuming. And then we don't even know what Catherine does. Like, she just like a socialite, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Anytime we ever really see her,
she's like always going to like.
She's always going to the theater.
The theater or the ballet.
But as an audience member, not as like an actor or as a worker.
Right.
She's just going with Tony, the new boyfriend, played by Kevin Nealon in this.
Right, and he's like this Wall Street guy.
And yeah, he's some rich dude too, and so they're just off doing socialite type of events.
Right. So this is, a typical affluent family stuff. And I think the father, Michael, was not into that.
It's most likely true.
And I don't know if that was, like, he just didn't want to be a part of that circle or whatever.
It could be. I mean, I just wish that we didn't have to put the pieces together.
I know.
And there's, like, certain parts, like when she comes in and visits the diner for basically, like, the first time after it's opened, and she's walking around and he's talking about how he stole or like ransacked this closed place for all the decorations and the menu, and it seemed like it was like one of their favorite places to go eat. And he's that place is closed now. She's like, oh, it's closed. Like, yeah, but I took all the decorations and whatever and like incorporated them into the diner. There's clearly a backstory there, but we don't get the full backstory. Yeah. We're just getting like these tiny little snippets, and we're forced to piece them together ourselves, and I wish there was more. Maybe there was in a longer version or something, and they cut it down because it's a kids movie, and like, who really cares?
Because when I was a kid, I was like, I don't care what the parents did, I just want to see the kids. It's like, this is like The Parent Trap,
which I have honestly never seen any version. I know the general idea of it, but I've never seen any version.
It's just, it's all about the kids trying to get their parents together and then scheming and coming up with this whole, I don't know, I don't want to say adventure, because it's not really. It's just they come up with these random pranks and
Ethan has
making them fall in love with each other.
He has a definitive plan to get them to be together in the same room, which he believes will allow his dad, Michael, to,
like, if they can just
talk things out and confess things to Catherine.
Because I guess they just seem to always bicker and fight when they are in the same room. Yeah. And he wants them to have like a civil conversation or whatever.
Yeah, so it takes a while for it to get to that point, but at some point, Ethan basically just hatches his plan, and then it's a matter of putting these pieces together. And again, we as the audience are not really let in on what the plan is. They don't outline it ahead of time. We just start to see the pieces unravel as they go. I'm more okay with that. Yeah. Because, all we know is, he's calling up the tow truck company to say that there's a car that's, been sitting there and abandoned and needs to be towed. I assumed it was going to be the dad's car because they said it was going to be out in front of the diner.
Oh, well,
and
I
the
knew
dad worked
it was
at the diner.
Gonna be...
Well, of course you did, because you've seen it a few times. But, as a fresh viewer, I assumed, oh, the dad's gonna get towed, and then he's gonna have to call on the mom or something to get picked up, or something like that was gonna happen. But then you get to see it unravel, and it's like, oh, okay, so it's like like you get to see the chess moves, sort of like a before and after, and I appreciated that aspect of it. So it's not like Home Alone hijinks where it's like goofy, quirky, funny. It's more almost like planning like a murder mystery in a sense, where you're thinking like multiple steps ahead to do this, or
this
pull
like
off a bank heist.
13-year-old boy thought of this.
Yeah,
like
and all these
within
things
a day. I don't know.
And it's interesting how all these different things had to happen in a very certain way in order for it to actually work. And phone calls had to happen at a specific time.
It's like watching Knives Out or something. I
Right.
don't know.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
It's like, oh, this is gonna happen now.
So that was really interesting to see that happen. It took a long time for that part of the movie to happen, but that was probably the more entertaining aspect when it started to get a little more frantic and they're running around and all these characters are coming in and out to play their parts and whatnot. But before we even get there, there's multiple side plots and multiple side stories, like Ethan, who again we haven't said the name, played by Ethan Embry, credited as Ethan Randall still at this time. We'll see him again in the 1991 movies Dutch, Bad Attitudes, and also he has a role in Defending Your Life. Probably know him more for like Empire Records, or I know him from Calorie Weight, which I've seen a million times.
Right.
Vegas Vacation. Currently Grace and Frankie. He has like this love story thing going on with Stephanie.
Yes.
Who is the daughter of Susan, who knows the month. I don't understand that relationship either. Who is Susan to Catherine? Is it just a friend?
I assume they were just friends.
Okay.
Like Catherine and Susan are also probably from both affluent families, and they probably, because we established that Susan is also recently divorced.
Yes. And so they're off to Boston most of the time.
Yeah, they...
along with the daughter.
Yeah. Susan and her moved to Boston, but then sometimes come down to New York for whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not really established.
Because it's like holiday time or something, so I guess they're here to spend time with family in New York. But she said, Stephanie was saying that she was in Boston because of school, and she was already enrolled in school. Mm-hmm. Or maybe she was planning on, like, maybe the mom, Susan, moved to New York, and Stephanie lives with her dad in Boston? Is that what it was? I think that's what it was. And so she's basically, like, waiting until she's done with school, and then she can be in New York full time.
Mm. Yeah, because, I mean, so they both, like, Ethan and Stephanie, I mean, you can see right away that they, like, he has a crush on her, like, instantly or whatever.
Oh, yeah, they have a lot of shots across the room of them looking and flirting and smiling and stuff.
Right, and she seems to be older, like, she seems to be, like, 15 or
She
something.
does look older, yeah.
Like, she's already in high school.
She had already been to her cotillion, if that makes sense.
So she's probably, like, a year older than
difference.
him, maybe.
Yes, possibly. Played by Amy Oberer. It's really her only major role. She had a few minor roles besides this, which is surprising.
I mean, she seemed... all the child actors are good.
Yes.
I liked her.
Yes, all the child actors are good.
And she has, like... Stephanie has, like, this strained relationship with her mom. Like, she feels like her mom doesn't care about her.
Mm-hmm. Which, again, isn't fully established, but there's like a couple lines sprinkled in where you kind of have to pick up on that.
Like, she just comes to New York and her mom is just always out kind of doing the same thing that Catherine's doing. Like, always going to, like, a play or some sort of high society event. Because even the grandmother, Lillian, has this, I'm assuming, like, Christmas party at her house for all her, like, Broadway friends, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. That was such a weird thing, too.
And that's how, like, Catherine and Susan met up again. She was like, oh, Susan, good to see you, blah, blah, blah.
That scene was kind of weird just from the Ethan and Stephanie standpoint because, they're smiling at each other from across the room, and then he was going to go sit down and the chair breaks, and Tony's like, oh, yeah, that chair's broken. He's like, oh, thanks for telling me. And then you cut to the museum, and evidently Ethan never talked to Stephanie the whole rest of the night because he was like trying to find a way to like, introduce himself to her. He was probably like too embarrassed. I guess, but I don't know. It was weird to have that transition. Yeah, and it just goes like right to this museum where they're both alone in the museum.
Right, because I think Stephanie, when Stephanie was talking with her mom, Susan, with Catherine, Stephanie was saying that, I want to check out some museums while I'm here, and I think that's Ethan overheard that. But she doesn't
knew the right one to go to.
Yeah, I don't like. There's like
and what time?
Tons of museums in New York. I'm assuming it was like the Met or something because it was pretty huge and.
It was huge, yeah.
And I mean, they're in the Upper East Side, so the Met is like Upper East Side. So I'm assuming it's the Met. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. Like he did. Like, how did he know the time and like actual floor, day? Yeah, and then the Met is like. Extremely huge. You can be on one end and never see like someone on the other end. I don't know. But whatever. I mean, he was walking around kind of waiting for her to appear, and she does. And then he's trying to like psych himself up and be like coming up with some speech like, oh, hey, funny bumping into you here type of thing.
Just trying to rehearse what to say and do and whatnot. It doesn't go well because he's an awkward kid.
Right.
And everything, and then they get to talking and, hit it off. And
right. I think they just both, have a lot in common because they both have divorced parents, and that's kind of how they started to bond.
And also over the art, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. The Jackson Pollock that...
Number 20.
Which, yeah. So you have that storyline going on. You also have the whole thing with Catherine and Tony, which I think they probably spent a little bit too much time on. I don't know. It was weird seeing Kevin Nealon in this role because it doesn't, I don't know, he doesn't seem like he fits into that whole lifestyle.
Like Wall Street type of guy.
He doesn't give off that vibe to me of, this snooty...
But he didn't really seem snooty until maybe later when the movie progressed.
The very end is when he like really...
He kind of like snapped, but... Right. I think he was just trying really hard with Catherine. Like, it's obvious that she's like out of his league. I don't know.
Well, yeah, clearly.
And it's also obvious that her mom hates him. Yes. But she just kind of tolerates him. But like no one like the kids. I mean, Ethan, he's like whatever about it, but you can tell that Hallie doesn't like him because she's annoying him all the time. Which I mean, I understand that.
Oh, absolutely. I think he did not give off the right vibe for me, and then also just. Seeing somebody from SNL in a movie that's supposed to be a comedy and he's given like
he's
zero
like the
lines.
Least comedic person.
Yeah. His line, if anything, is just reacting to stuff that the kids do or, trying to shiver and be cold inside the ice cream truck. Mm-hmm. There's not much for him to do or say, which is, I don't know. It seemed like they just wanted to have another, known comedic personality on top of Leslie Nielsen, who plays Santa.
Yeah.
And he barely appears in the movie, too, which is a little weird when you look at the box art of this thing.
Because, he's on the cover.
He's on the cover, and it gives off a Home Alone type of a vibe because he's hung upside down, wrapped in garland, and with the tagline of how far...
You only see him, 3 times in the movie.
Yeah. So the tagline is, how far would you go to make a wish come true? And they have, Santa basically kidnapped and hung upside down. You make it seem like that's going to be...
It's like... I mean, it probably was trying to give that Home Alone vibe because Home Alone, did so well the year before this.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's do another Christmas movie. But, I mean, But it's nothing like Home Alone, so...
No, it's nothing like that box art either. Like, nothing. And Leslie Nielsen, he's there. He says lines. But he's basically just, he's in the mall a couple times to
as Santa, yeah,
to be Santa to kids, and then Hallie comes up and says, oh, I want my mom and dad to get back together, and he's like, oh, that's a pretty tall order, and then he shows up at the end to sort of whatever big reveal.
I mean,
but
those parts made my eyes roll like that.
You had to assume some magical mysticism, right?
I don't like that.
But I mean, that's every Christmas
But I
movie.
I understand, but I don't like stuff like that.
I think that's every Christmas movie except for A Christmas Story, probably.
Yeah. Which, I
And
mean, that's
Black
like...
Christmas.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's like... My favorite Christmas movie is A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like magical... I mean, I like this movie, but I don't... Like, when it gets into that whole, oh, is Santa real? Whatever...
And is Ethan actually an elf?
He is real because
he was actually an elf, like that.
Like the parts where they're
said.
Playing in the snow, and then all of a sudden they look at the sky, and like you don't see like Santa in the sky, but you see their like colors on their faces as if like his sleigh went right by them.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very end, where he just knocks on their door and he's like, "Here's your mouse that you lost."
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I don't like it. Those things I don't like. Not as an adult. Maybe when I was younger. I mean, even when I was younger, I was like, whatever. All I cared about was like the kids getting their parents back together.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it because I know that that's sort of what's expected in a lot of Christmas movies. I understand not being fine with it because it is exactly what you would expect in a Christmas movie. I think where it maybe helps a little bit is that we don't see Santa, like sprinkle any magic dust or anything, right? You just see him in the mall, and then the kids tease him, and that one little kid walks by and he's like, oh, you're one of Santa's elves, aren't you? And then that turns out to be true, right? So it's like this, so you can like have this, is it fate or is it, is it, his destiny? Is like, is he working, like, was it really his plan or was it Santa's? And like, how Santa's magic could be interpreted in different ways, that part is okay for me.
Yeah, the real Santa Claus is Ethan doing all this.
Right.
But
Santa's powers are imbued.
He wanted it for himself as well, like secretly, but he says that at the end.
Yeah, he gives a big long monologue at the end.
Which, I mean, that kind of made me cry. Even the other part that, like, made me cry, but also I was like, why? It was when he was watching, like,
watching the home
he's
movies.
Watching the home movies of his parents, like, their wedding and his birth and them on some vacation. He's, like, watching and crying and, because their parents are in love and that. But I was like, what kid watches their parents? I was like, who watches their parents' home movies?
And I don't know if that's what you have for like memories.
I understand that.
Like if you don't have pictures, but you have videos, then watch the videos. I don't know. I mean, I can understand that. I used to like flip through photo albums all the time, and I didn't come from a house of divorce. So I just flip through photo albums.
I like seeing older photos, but I'm not gonna pop in a VHS and be like, oh, let's watch my parents' wedding. And then I was like, who has all these home movies of themselves doing random shit?
Rich people.
I was just like, this is... And then now all those VHS tapes are like...
I mean, now it's all done on a phone, but yeah, back then.
But I'm just thinking of all those VHS tapes filled of random home movies.
Yeah. From
the 80s and 90s.
They're everywhere.
Now that, like, the found footage guys own.
Yeah. Found footage festival guys and all kinds of other people are trying to unearth them and whatnot, so... A lot of history is in thrift stores waiting to be found.
I mean, if I found one now, I'd be fascinated by it.
Definitely.
Just seeing people's lives, but I'm not, like, I would never, I was like, I don't want a wedding video of us. Like, I don't want to look at us get married. Okay. Like, it's already in my head of what happened. I don't know. It's like,
not all the details.
Yeah.
Yes. I understand what you mean, but I mean, I'm of the nostalgic type of persuasion where, I would just go through, like, photo albums.
Looking through photos is fine, but like watching a 1 hour video of someone's wedding, I'm like, this is boring.
Fast forward to the good parts. Yeah.
To like people dancing and
yeah,
making idiots of themselves. That's about it.
Or I mean, if I don't know if this happened at our wedding or not, but like if people were giving us congratulation messages and stuff, and like, hey, I just want to say thank you, blah blah blah. Like I'd watch that.
I wouldn't, because I'd at
least want to see it one time, because I don't think we ever did. if the footage exists.
I don't even know, and
we're going on a weird tangent.
Yeah. I would watch it once and be like, okay, it's in my head now, and I don't need to watch it. Yeah, but I don't want to watch it
unless there's like a super funny one or something. I don't know.
I don't want to watch it again. I don't know.
Okay, fine.
I mean, it's like these people who watch their wedding videos like on their anniversaries. It's like
you'll watch All I Want for Christmas like 30 times, but you don't want to watch
because
your
it was
own
on.
wedding.
I don't know. I don't want to watch us like getting married.
Let's just get back to the movie.
All right.
This is such a weird tangent that we're going on. What else is there to talk about with this movie, though? Okay, so let's... can we talk about the opening scene? How about we talk about the opening scene where there's, like, a church choir?
Okay, well...
And, like, why was that a thing in the movie other than just to show that he's in, like, a private school, I guess?
Yeah, I guess.
And, like, Ethan's, like, running. He's, like, super late to join this... choir, and so he's like running through the halls, and he just makes it up to sing his part like just in time, like knocking over the conductor person, whatever his
I think just to show him, it seems as if he's sort of like bullied, because when he is in the Macy's, I'm assuming
it could be
with his sister, he sees two of his classmates and he's like, oh shit,
he's like super embarrassed to be seen by taking his little sister to see Santa,
because then they're like, we saw you standing in that line to go see Santa,
which he could have easily just said, yeah, my sister wanted to see Santa, I was there to
he could have said that, but he was like, no. That was like weird, but then that was the only part where he interacted with these quote bullies.
Yeah, and then there's this one part where you passed off the girl at the cotillion to his rival, Kevin Mars.
Right.
Which we learned the full name, Kevin Mars, but, like, I don't know, like...
You don't know his actual friend Marshall's last name?
No, we don't know Marshall, who is much more recognizable to me as an actor than Kevin Mars was. Marshall was Patrick LeBrec. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. He has not done a whole lot since, like, 1996 was his last role in Lawnmower Man 2.
Oh, wow.
But he was in Beethoven and Rookie of the Year, which is probably where I know him most. And then Camp Nowhere and Heavyweights. And he'll also be seen again in 1991, Backfield in Motion with Roseanne Arnold. And he was also in one episode of Drexel's Class, which we've talked about in the past as well. So, very recognizable child actor of the era. But I guess he left the business at some point. And very close to a Game Boy sighting, because he got a Power Glove for Christmas.
Right. I mean, this is the second movie with a Power Glove.
Well, first with a real one.
Real one, but...
Because Freddy's Dead had the super fake one.
Yeah, fake one. But he says, I have the power... Whatever.
Yeah, now you're playing with power.
Yeah, he says the tagline for the Power Glove.
Which this is, I think, a real Power Glove that Marshall.
Right.
But yeah, Marshall's there to help with the plan and like help buy mice, which is
he's kind of like he's like pulled in and he's like whatever about it. He's like, yeah, I guess I'll go along. Like I don't.
And then he gets like caught in a lie, and he's like, you know what? I was just told to go along with this thing.
That would have been me. Like if my friend was doing this, I'd be like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of lying for this person, and I don't know.
Exactly. Like I don't know where they are. I give up.
Because they'd be like, the parents call and they're like, hey, Marshall, where's Ethan? He's like, like he's
because he's like supposed to stay at his house on Christmas Eve.
For Christmas Eve to Christmas Day overnight. I mean, the whole part with him is funny because the parts where he's talking with Ethan on the phone in the background, it's like his grandmother passed out or something.
Just passed out from like the eggnog or something.
And you just hear his parents fighting over like, I was like, why didn't they just call an ambulance to get the grandma instead of saying why did the grandma pass out for like 10 minutes going back and forth saying what did you do to grandma.
I don't know, but it was the funniest scene in the movie. So I'm okay
and
with
he was
it.
like, when you're done getting your parents back together, can you split mine up? That was funny.
So that was a good time. I mean, there's a couple decent scenes. Nothing is super, super funny to me, though. There's definitely... It's trying to be funny. I think especially with, like, Haley's dialogue where she is acting as if she's 50 years old or she speaks like she's, you know, an old woman. I think that's supposed to be funnier than it is.
Yeah, just this little precocious girl trying to act like she's very adult-like.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you see a lot of TV shows like that now where it's like the young girl is, I don't want to say old soul, but what? Something like that.
That is basically the trope of it, so I think that's fair. I think the other thing that hurts the movie for me is that there's really a noticeable lack of music in this thing.
You have the one song.
Well, you have the one song, but I mean, like,
which
virtually during the entire...
Probably on the radio, because I remember that song.
Well, I'm not talking about the end credits. I'm talking about while stuff is happening in the movie.
Like the score?
There's virtually no score, and so you have these heartwarming moments where the mom is, you know, trying to be with Hallie, who's pretending to be sick, and then goes to the couch with her husband or ex-husband, and then, you know, they're doing... Meanwhile, Ethan and Stephanie are downstairs at the diner having this connection, and it's just dead silence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wanted something. I would have much preferred like a cartoony score like what we see in some of these other movies like Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead or something like that. Then, you know, give me a Newman score over dead silence during these key moments. It just made it fall flat and, you know, made it a little more boring actually. Even... You know, the adventurous stuff with the ice cream truck and, you know, Tony's car getting towed and everything.
Right.
Virtually no music under all that stuff. It's weird and it's noticeable to me. It made it feel a little bit more lifeless. But all said and done, it was relatively enjoyable. There's a lot of stuff that just did not make sense. Like, again, I don't understand why Andrea Martin's character Olivia exists in this story at all. She's pregnant,
besides to give birth on Christmas Day in their kitchen.
But like, why is that a thing? Like, why is that a plot point? You know, like, what came of it? Nothing.
I don't know. I don't know.
Like, they saw the kids come back from the diner to their house and they see the ambulance out front and they get scared.
They assume it's for them. They're like, oh shit, mom called the cops or whatever because we're missing. I don't know. That's what.
But 2 seconds later, it doesn't matter anymore. So it doesn't.
Well, because then they're like, oh, Olivia's having her baby, and then Hallie's like, can I take pictures? And they're like, no. But then that was it. Yeah. Because then that's when Michael comes in and they have their reconciliation between the whole family. You know, Catherine and Michael, they profess their love for each other, they kiss, and then
there's a big...
Ethan and Hallie are happy. Everyone's happy.
Yeah, there's this big Moonstruck like convergence at the end where everyone just converges into the house and
it's like
says things and everything wraps up in a nice little bow.
That's like when they make this plan where Hallie is supposed to be spending the night with her dad, and then, you know, Catherine's supposed to go to the ballet, I don't know, somewhere.
There's something that happens
with Tony.
Christmas. And they're supposed to
Christmas
get married.
Eve night.
Well, they're gonna get engaged or something like that. I don't know.
Like they're celebrating that.
Guess.
And then
it's not really clear if there was ever a proposal or if she's
she was just
saying,
like,
well, I'm gonna marry Tony whether you like it or not.
Yeah, maybe he did propose to her prior to this movie starting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or they were talking about it. But whatever. So, you know, Catherine feels like she stood up because Tony didn't meet up with her to wherever the hell they were gonna go. Right. And but then Hallie fakes being sick, so she, Catherine stays there with Hallie and spends the night over at her ex-husband's loft and tries to sleep in the same bed with Hallie, but Hallie's like, pushing her out of the bed, and that's when she goes to the couch and Michael's already sleeping on the couch and she sleeps next to him on the couch. And I was like, doesn't he have a bed? And then the next morning...
Yeah, his loft looks like something you'd see in, like, the movie Big.
Yeah, Big. He even has, like, games in there. Mm-hmm. Well, at least you see...
For the kid.
Like,
he has a pinball machine.
Yeah, he has a pinball machine.
Mostly for the kids, maybe. But, I mean, if it was me, it'd be for me, so who knows.
Yeah. And then the next morning, Tony calls Michael's house. And I was like, how did Tony know to call... Like, how did Tony know that Catherine was there? Unless he called at her house and then her mom was like... But how did her mom know that Catherine... Like, I was just like...
because the mom was in a hotel because of the mice.
Yeah. That's why I was like, how did he call
and Catherine
Michael's place? Yeah.
So, yeah, who knows? It's all...
And knew that Catherine was there. So, whatever. That was another thing. I was like, alright, whatever. But then he arrives at their house, like, at the very end when Ethan's, like, giving his, like, sad monologue. And he's like, you're bratty kids, you blah, blah, blah. It's like, the second...
Lessons, yeah.
Like, the second we get married, they're gonna go to, like, military school or some shit. I don't know. Or
they're gonna learn some respect.
Yeah, they're gonna learn how to respect. And then that she was like instantly turned off with like, she's like, this is a family affair, get out of my house, and he just leaves. And I was like, okay. So that was that.
That makes sense. I'm cool with that.
But he was just like, I don't know. He was probably like beyond pissed, where he was like, I don't even want to get married to you either because of your kids, who I think are kind of annoying or shitty.
Yeah. It was fine. I had no problem with that part. And then Santa comes, so it's okay.
And then Santa comes and gives Snowball back to Hallie.
Snowball the mouse, the favorite of the mice that they use as part of their plan.
To get everyone out of the house.
Very convoluted plan, but it still all makes sense. Mm-hmm. There's nothing super cartoony about it or out of the realm of possibility, but it definitely needed to work in a very specific way in order for it to work. So, and that's about it, right? That's virtually how that movie goes. And then the title's song comes up, "All I Want," which is just a really sad love song. It doesn't mention Christmas at all. It's like, that's a weird choice.
I've heard this song. Well, I know this type of music. I've said before that I worked at a grocery store in the late 90s, early 2000s. So this is the type of music I've heard.
Yeah, it's
especially
easy,
this is probably played around Christmas time, because it's titled "All I Want for Christmas," but it's usually like a sad "All I Want" song, and then it was produced and written by David Foster, and I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense.
But is it because they do not say the word
it's
Christmas?
It's not very. They do not
IMDb
say.
says it says "All I Want for Christmas."
Yeah.
The movie says "All I Want."
On the soundtrack, it says "All I Want for Christmas."
Which is weird, because unless there's another version of it, but they do not say the word Christmas.
Because it's just
There's
all
no
I
lyrics
want.
that are any holiday related lyrics at all. It's all about like someone like being sad about a love that's unfulfilled.
Right.
So happy holidays.
That's like a really weird.
Your parents are back together. Mine are not. I'm gonna sing about it.
Yeah. I mean, the song is played when Ethan is watching his parents' home movies, and then it's played again at the end credits.
Yeah.
That's the only song. But then there was like other random Christmas music after this in the end credits.
Yeah. They had a couple random songs throughout the movie. Like when they first showed the diner, they had Yakety Yak playing because it's a 1950s
because the diner. Yeah. And then
they're trying to make it look like a really fun place to be, and everyone's like all happy and jolly, and that's when like, wait,
it's like,
I thought we were supposed to hate
working.
the dad. Yeah, like, oh yay, child labor, and I thought I was supposed to hate the dad.
That's
but
what
it's
I was
a fun
like,
place
hey,
to
do you want to go to the diner so I can work?
Right, I love coming to the diner and like pretending
to be a waitress. I mean, when I was younger,
I probably would have liked it too.
Yeah.
Let's get into some cast and crew stuff, shall we?
Yeah.
Because there's quite a bit that we maybe haven't talked about.
We never even said that, like, the mom is Harley Jane Kozak.
Yeah, so we've seen both the mom and the dad before. Harley Jane Kozak, who plays Catherine, who we've seen in Necessary Roughness. She was the professor/love interest of Scott Bakula there. And I think we covered a lot of her credits at that time, maybe? Yeah. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think.
Anyway, she'll be in Taking of Beverly Hills as well. So if we still haven't covered her, then we'll talk about her history. Then Jamie Sheridan played the dad, Michael. We saw him on
Talent for the
Game as
like the owner.
Not the owner. He was like the boss that wanted to keep Edward James Olmos on the team. Was also like backstabbing him.
Yeah, he was like the manager of Edward James Olmos, but also his girlfriend too.
What? No. He wasn't a girlfriend.
Edward James Olmos' his girlfriend.
What about his girlfriend?
Wasn't Jamie the boss of both of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were saying like Jamie was also his girlfriend.
No,
like,
Jamie was the boss of. I forgot the girlfriend's name. I forgot. I don't know. That was so long ago.
Yeah, it was a bad movie. It was a bad movie. But anyway, like, and I think that led to my perception of thinking, oh, he's going to be an asshole, because here's Jamie Sheridan, who played like this secret asshole in Talent for the Game, and he kind of gives off that vibe. Sorry, Jamie, but your face is kind of like, slightly villainous. So
yeah, he kind of. I mean,
he looks like he could be typecast like that
douchebaggy type of guy.
Yeah, exactly. So that's him. We already talked about Ethan Embry. Let's go back and talk about the director, Robert Lieberman. He also directed another 1991 movie called To Save a Child. He went on to later do Fire in the Sky and D3, The Mighty Ducks. And he also did one episode of The Young Riders, which we've talked about on this, but that was before 1991. He also did some episodes of Gabriel's Fire. He's done The Dead Zone, Dexter, X-Files, and The Expanse. So he's done a lot of TV directing, more so than movies. Thom Eberhardt, one of the writers, is a Daytime Emmy winner for a child special called Rats, which I don't know. But he's also the writer and director of things like Night of the Comet and Captain Ron. He also wrote or co-wrote Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, Soul Survivor from 1984, which looks like an interesting, weird horror movie. And then also Without a Clue, I think, is also one that might be known to some people who listen to this. Richard Kramer, the other writer, is a 5-time Emmy nominee for Tales of the City, as well as 30-something. He's been involved as a writer and executive producer for a lot of like coming of age type of stuff, like 30-something, Queer as Folk, My So-Called Life, Nashville,
cool.
All of that stuff is him. So I think we probably see a little bit of that influence in the formation of the characters here. Thora Birch as Haley, again, fantastic performance by Thora Birch. She was on the Parenthood TV show, and she was also on that. Do you remember that TV show Day by Day from like the late 80s? It was like Julia Louis-Dreyfus's like first major role, probably, before Seinfeld and stuff. That was a decent sitcom that I think had some reruns back in the day. She was on that. Thora Birch was also in the 1991 movie Paradise, Hocus Pocus, American Beauty, which she got a BAFTA nomination for, Ghost World, which is probably one of her more notable teenage roles, I think, where she got a Golden Globe nomination and also 2 MTV movie nominations for that movie. One for Best Dressed and one for like the Best Line, which I think was like we graduated high school, hooray for us or something like that. I didn't write down the actual line. Evidently that was a category for movie.
She had a lot of one-liners in that movie, so I was like, which?
Yeah, I don't know. And then she was also in The Walking Dead for like a half season or a full season. And Ethan Embry actually was in one episode of The Walking Dead as well, so
that's interesting.
Brother and sister converging there.
She has an interesting life. Her parents were adult film actors.
Yes.
And they were both in the film Deep Throat.
She's been around the industry in multiple ways.
Yeah.
She's been involved in a lot. And I think I mean, I don't know her personally, but I mean, she's maintaining a good career and a good trajectory. She is also an Emmy nominee for I think I didn't write down the category. Homeless to Harvard, the Liz Murray story. So she even has an Emmy nomination to her name. Lauren Bacall we talked about. She's an honorary Oscar winner from 2010. She also was nominated for The Mirror That Has Two Faces. She has a Golden Globe win for that same role. Emmy nominations for great performances, Rockford Files, Applause. She's, you know her from Bogart and Bacall, right? Big Sleep, To Heaven, To Have Not, To Heaven, Have Not, Key Largo, The Shootist, all kinds of different stuff. She was also in another 1991 movie that is not on our list because we cannot find a watchable version of it, called A Star for Two. Leslie Nielsen, we already talked about. We've seen him in Naked Gun 2.5, which was our second episode. We will see Leslie Nielsen again one more time on this podcast in a movie called Chance of a Lifetime. And then otherwise, I think there's just a couple little things I want to talk about. We have Sonia, who played the waitress in the movie. Mm-hmm. Sonia was the waitress in the movie, played by Camille Saviola. Mm-hmm. She just recently passed away, so I wanted to pay tribute to her briefly. She passed away on October 28th of this year.
Wow.
She's going to be in the 1991 movies Shadows and Fog and Queen's Logic. She was also in The Purple Rose of Cairo, Broadway Danny Rose. She was on a few episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which it seems like were very memorable to fans. She played Turtle's mom in Entourage. And evidently she was like a disco singer and had a band called the Margot Lewis Explosion back in the 70s, which I can't really find much information on, but
yeah, she's in. I'm now watching Nip Tuck, so now
I'm like,
she's in Nip Tuck, but like I think in one episode.
Yeah, so very short, decent role in this movie. And then I also want to talk about a couple of the kids who were in the choir scene that we talked about briefly, because it's really interesting to see, like, there's the large amount of kids in this movie and who made it and who didn't. Most of them did not, but a couple of them did. So it's really interesting to see that one of them was Scott Wolf of Party of Five fame and of Double Dragon fame and White Squall and Go. We will see him in the 1991 movie called The Skid Kid, along with other members of the Wolf family. So it's like a nice little family production. And also in 1991, he was in one episode of Kids Incorporated. Eric Von Detten was another one of those choir kids. This was his first role. He went on shortly after this to do 167 episodes of Days of Our Lives. And he's done a bunch of Disney stuff, like he was in Tarzan, he was in Escape to Witch Mountain, and he was also the voice of Sid in Toy Story 1 and 3. So, pretty interesting there. And then the biggest one in terms of like longevity of career, I think, was a kid named Josh Keaton, credited at this point as Josh Weiner, who played Brad. I don't remember who Brad was. He was probably one of the bully kids.
Was he one of the kids that
I'll try to have a screenshot.
Like confronted Ethan?
Yeah, maybe. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll probably see his picture here if I can find it. He's done a lot of voice actor work, mostly. He was in the New Kids on the Block cartoon. He was on the Peter Pan and the Pirates cartoon around this time.
Was he the voices, one of the New Kids?
I don't think so. I think he probably would have been a little bit too young for
that. Or
that.
did the New Kids do their own voices for New Kids on the Block?
I don't think they did, no.
They were probably like too famous.
I've seen like one episode of it, and it's really bad.
Well, I used to watch it because, I mean, New Kids on the Block was my life in these days. Even
for things that are good, you can recognize they're bad cartoons, and I would have stayed away from it. But he was in that, but I don't think he was one of the New Kids. I could be wrong, but I didn't recognize any of the names that he was credited towards. He played Jules, one of the kids in the Back to the Future cartoon. One of the Doc Brown's kids, Jules. Video game wise, he's been Ocelot in the Metal Gear Solid series. He was Ryu in the Ninja Gaiden series. He's been Spyro the Dragon. He's played a bunch of superheroes like Cyclops, Human Torch. He's been Spider-Man. He's been the Flash. He's been Green Lantern, Ant-Man, Iron Man, Captain America. He's done a whole bunch of these things for video games and cartoons. So I don't know. I'm fascinated by voice acting. I'm fascinated by child actors who go on to do actual stuff in the industry, and so we get a nice combination there. So
pausing on the credits.
Pausing on the credits. Got a lot of child actors to go through on this thing, so that's about it. But yeah, probably the biggest surprise is just seeing like Scott Wolf in there, just as like a random choir member.
Yeah.
So, awards talk, just a couple minor ones here, both from this organization called the Young Artists. So the Young Artist nomination, Best Actor Ethan Embry, but he lost to Elijah Wood for the movie Radio Flyer.
Oh, well, Radio Flyer is whatever. That's like the king of movies for me. I don't know. I love Radio Flyer.
It's also not a 1991 movie, so there's a cross-year thing for this award show. And then Thora Birch was also nominated for Best Actress, but she lost to Allison Porter for Curly Sue.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see how that, see how much we agree with that when that time comes. And that's about all I got. So we go on to true crime and pop culture.
Yeah, I mean, true crime wise, I didn't find anything. There's nothing that's gonna be like,
this guy got his car towed and was trapped in an ice cream truck.
Well, I mean, I was like, is there any true to, like, I'm assuming there may that's like true to life. Like this movie did a couple kids cause their parents to get back together, but I couldn't really find anything like that just by doing like a simple Googling thing or just saying like, is there anything. I even looked up stuff like for the Parent Trap, but I found stuff that was similar to the Parent Trap, but it was mostly two twin girls who were separated at birth, found each other. It's not like their parents got together because of them. And this movie was released on November 8th, 1991, which was like a week after People Under the Stairs was November 1st. Mm-hmm. And then just a couple weeks ago, American Tail was November 22nd. So the music on the charts were pretty much the same. And then
I Want didn't chart.
No. Even though it was David Foster. I mean, maybe it was later on in like 1992. So I was looking, instead of doing like the top 5, I was like, should I do the bottom 5? Because we never talk. Because the top 5 are always like the same 10 to 15 songs now.
Yeah, like what's new on the chart? What's the worst of the chart?
Yeah, what's what's like been on the charts for like 20 weeks and is ending. So I was like, let's do the bottom 5 songs.
Do we see Scott Wolf appear here too?
No.
From his episode of Kids Incorporated.
This choir kid.
Yeah, choir kid.
Singing All I Want for Christmas. No. So number 100 was, this is as of November 9th, 1991. Number 100 is Michael Bolton, Time, Love, and Tenderness.
Okay, I don't think I even know that song.
I may
You probably do from your grocery store days.
Yeah, I may know this song. Like, if you played it, I'd be like, oh, okay. And then 99, this is a new song that the first week on the charts as number 99, Smokey Robinson, Double Good Everything. Also, I don't. Like, maybe if you played this, I would know it. And then...
It's interesting. A new Smokey Robinson song in 91, though.
Yeah. 98 was High Fives, I Can't Wait Another Minute. 97, I should have looked this up. Because I was like, I don't even know who these people are.
We'll have the YouTube videos on the website.
But usually I like to listen to a song before and be like, oh, okay, I know this. Or like last week where I was like, when we found out that Crash Test Dummy. I've never heard that song until last week.
And that's the last time we're going to hear it.
Yeah. So number 97 is a song called You're the Story of My Life by Desmond Child. So number 96 was Stevie B's Forevermore, which I may have heard because I know who Stevie B is.
91 for music is like...
It's all over the place.
It's really all over the place, and it's a lot of stuff that just does not get mentioned much anymore.
No. I mean, this era, Stevie B, that was like right in the freestyle. Like, the freestyle was still popular around this time.
Yeah.
TV-wise, not too much difference, but I did find another busted pilot. It's been a while. On November 8th, 1991, which was a Friday, it was the typical TGIF lineup. It was Family Matters, Step by Step, Perfect Strangers, and then Baby Talk. And then on CBS was a busted pilot called Perfect Crimes. And then when I'm kind of confused by this, because when I looked it up on IMDb, they call it a TV movie. And then I looked on our list. I was like, is this on our list? But no, it's not on our list. It's just like I think it was just a 1 hour show. And then they put it on a DVD because on IMDb they have the DVD cover.
Okay.
Art, like on it.
Yeah, so it was probably meant to be a pilot for a show, and then
they just called it a
TV movie because it only showed the one thing ever, and it's an hour long.
Yeah, it's an hour long. So it was probably
nothing on our list is only an hour long. It has to be over an hour
over
to qualify.
Yeah, and this also confused me because on the DVD cover it shows Brendan Fraser, Peter Coyote, Danny Glover, and Christopher Lloyd. But this episode that aired, none of those people are on it. So I'm like...
Is it like a mixed match? Like they pulled the cover from a different thing called Perfect Crime?
That's what I was like trying to figure out. But every time I Googled Perfect Crimes 1991, that cover came up. And I was wondering, like, did they release this entire... like, it may have been a series. And then, like, did they release the entire series on DVD? That included these actors in it?
I don't know.
So Perfect Crimes is just a true crime, should have been a TV show, I guess, about true stories about individuals seeking to commit the perfect crime. But in this episode, it had Lisa Hartman from Bare Essentials.
From Bare Essentials, yeah. Instead of Christopher Lloyd from Suburban Commando.
Yeah. Also in this episode was Dennis... It had a lot of people. I was like, well, Dennis Farina, Cree Summer.
So it's a reenactment show? So these people are reenacting potential perfect crimes?
That's what I was... It's just... The only blurb for this is, true stories about individuals seeking to commit a perfect crime.
So they're getting, like, pretty big name people to reenact these...
Crimes,
possibly.
Yeah.
Weird. Interesting. Maybe we should get the DVD. If anyone has the DVD, let us know.
If it's like $1, sure. But
Yeah.
I don't want to spend like more than $1.
Loan it to us, and we'll watch it and ship it back, and we'll do an episode.
Yeah. So that was on CBS. And then after that was the Carol Burnett Show, and I tried to look this up. It was not on YouTube, this episode. It had Delta Burke, and it had Tony Roberts, who was in Popcorn.
Delta Burke, who we've seen on an SNL episode that we talked about.
Yeah. And then after this also confused me. Because it's a Friday night, and also it's 10 p.m. on a Friday. That goes from 10 to 11, but it's called, it's Saturday Night with Connie Chung. And I was like, was this a repeat of the previous Saturday? Of Connie Chung's?
Yeah, I guess, it could have been.
That's what,
That makes it sound like, like Connie Chung's dance party, you know what I mean? Like, it's Saturday Night with Connie Chung. Come play the biggest hits and talk about the Gulf War.
Like, recently, like when Connie Chung, this is when she, like, retired or left. Remember when she sang on the piano and...
No, I don't.
So yeah, after that, on Fox was America's Most Wanted. That was on all night on Fox. On NBC was Matlock, Flesh and Blood, which we've talked about before, Dear John, and then Reasonable Doubts, which we talked about before. And that's it.
Tough night of TV.
Oh, you could be watching Perfect Crimes and
probably just would have been doing TGIF stuff, really.
Yeah.
Probably would not have been watching All I Want for Christmas, since I didn't at the time.
I did not see it in the theater, but I mean, I've watched it on cable.
Yeah. Rankings and ratings time.
Yeah.
On your 1 to 5 star scale, where would you put All I Want for Christmas?
I mean, I'm gonna give this a 3.
Okay, that's high.
I mean, I
think you have.
I enjoy this movie more than a lot of the movies we've watched. Okay. I enjoy this more than An American Tail, Five Goes West.
Where did I rank American Tail, Five Goes West?
I don't know, but I know.
It's probably going to be about the same for me, honestly. On my 0 to 4 star scale, I'd say it's probably about like a 1.5. It had a lot more potential. I think if the child acting wasn't nearly as strong as it was, it wouldn't be as highly ranked as it was. There's just too many unfinished pieces to this puzzle that, as a 40-something-year-old person watching this kid's movie for the first time, it didn't quite do it for me. It's not going to be a new Christmas classic, we'll say that. Every movie's worth watching once. Would you watch it again? I think you're going to
I would watch this movie.
I'm going to say no, I don't need to. It's not for me. Again, I don't really go for like the annual Christmas movie stuff anyway. Like, I don't really like Elf even. Like, that's probably a controversial thing to say. Like, Elf is fine. I am not into Christmas movies and watching certain things, except for I will watch A Christmas Story when it's on, TNT for the whole 24 hours. That I would watch that. That's the only Christmas movie I watch. Yeah. That I enjoy. I'm pretty much in the same boat. Like, it's like any other Christmas related movie, I don't care. I would say maybe like Christmas Vacation would be in there, and we saw It's a Wonderful Life. I would watch that again for sure, but it's not like something I'm going to seek out. That's not to watch. Like, for some people that's like tradition. Like, I'll watch It's a Wonderful Life, but I'm not going to be like, okay, it's 7 p.m. Yeah. The day, or like pop it in. It's like like, let's get the whole family together. It's Christmas Eve and we have to watch It's a Wonderful Life, or Santa's not gonna come, so we better watch this movie. Right. I'm not that type of person. I mean, I would watch it because I know that's another movie that's always on, like Turner Classic Movies or whatever. Yeah, it's on something. This is not on anything for Christmas. I understand why. I would even watch that again, because we both watched that movie for the first time last year. Yep. Like, so fully. Because I've only seen parts my entire life until last year. So, I mean, I understand why this is not on every year. I don't think I'd watch it again, because it is very much a Christmas movie, and I'd have to be in the mood to watch a Christmas movie, and I'd rather watch a different one than this. So that's the main reason why I'm saying no. I would watch A Christmas Story over this. Yep, I'd watch a lot of different ones. There's very few Christmas movies in 1991. So if we have to watch a Christmas movie from 1991 every single year, then this will probably be it. Yeah, because it's like one of the 3 or 4. But and I think this is the only one that actually like made a lot of money. Yeah, it's the only one that's like ranked in box office terms. Yeah. But Silent Night, Deadly Night 5 might be better. I would I would probably watch that, or like I would watch like a Christmas horror movie over any Christmas movie. Yeah. Black Christmas. Black Christmas I would watch, which also has Andrea Martin in it. It's a better Andrea Martin Christmas movie. Yeah, I would watch. That would be my tradition. Like, if I Yes. I would be like, let's gather around the family at 7 p.m. Christmas Eve and watch Black Christmas. Black Christmas.
That's my tradition.
There you go. If you out there want to watch All I Want for Christmas, as of this recording in November 2021, it's available as digital rental, VHS, or DVD. Check your local listings. You can listen to us on all your major podcasting platforms. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and tell your friends. It does help us out a lot. You can email us at 1991movierewind@gmail.com. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Letterboxd. Just search 1991 Movie Rewind, or go to 1991movierewind.com for the full list of movies, along with show notes and more. We're going to take next week off for the holidays. We're coming back in January for the new year and watching New Jack City. That's available as a digital rental, VHS, or DVD. We will see you then.